I heard, that's my friend. Yeah, so Lauren's on staff here. She'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. But my wife is also on staff. So in staff meeting, Pastor Bill goes over, we do some leadership stuff, and then we all have to comment at some point. So when, the hearts drop in the room when he says, Lauren, what do you think? And they're both like, who? Which one? So, and they're like playing that mind battle, like who's going to talk first. So it's funny to watch. But yeah, thank you so much for coming out tonight. I know this is home for you.
Yes.
And, there's a lot of stories here, which, we'll get into. But first off, there may be people in here that don't know who you are. So tell us who you are. Tell us what you do here at the church.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm the worship leader here. Wow, thank you for that. I'm so honored to be here. So yeah, I am fumbling. I'm sorry. I'm so nervous. I sing. I don't talk, so I'm like, what do I say? Words.
So she's going to sing her testimony tonight.
I'm gonna sing.
So, hey, Sylvester, can you hit that track?
So, yeah, I'm a mom of 2 girls. I'm also a wife. My amazing husband, he's at home tonight. He's a hard worker. He works hard for this family. But he's usually in the sound booth on Sunday mornings. So if you come on Sunday morning, you'll see him running the soundboard. And my mom, that's my mom back there.
Woo-hoo.
She's, if nobody, I know everybody's like, what? I know, what? That face, that's my mama. Yeah, I am Lauren. I am worship leader. I am me. I'm goofy.
Yeah, Lauren and I have been serving together here at Anchors. I came on staff in 2021. Lauren and I were youth pastors for about a year, and then they asked me to come on staff at first. And Lauren Pate started leading the worship, three months after that. So we were both new to staff. We'd never worked on staff at a church before, trying to figure everything out. You went through worship school and everything, and it was just like, hey, we're taking this a week at a time. And Lauren,
30 years old. Like, hey, you want to be the worship leader? I know you've never been in any sort of ministry leadership before. Thanks, Pastor Bill. Yes.
So, but she's done an incredible job with the worship team, just showing incredible leadership over the years. And if you guys haven't been to one of our worship nights on Sunday nights, we've been having one a year, but I think the plan is to start doing 2 a year.
Oh, really? That's new to me.
Well, she said that's new. Anyways, I may be wrong, but I know we do for sure do 1 a year every September, right?
Yes.
So if you haven't been to one of those worship nights, we just had it. So maybe next year, we'll see you next year. Yeah. But they're always incredible. So we know you work here on staff, you've been a worship leader, but that hasn't always been the case. Mm-hmm. And we'll just kind of, in a summary, we'll just start here. You actually used to go to this church when you were a kid.
Yes.
And when you were a kid and in youth for a little bit. So you weren't always a worship leader. You've been through some things in life. So let's just start there. Let's start, when you went to church here back in the day, just tell us about that.
Wow. If any of you know my daughter, Tegan, I was about her age when we started coming here. We had moved from Birmingham, and we were in this. I know you guys have heard this story probably from a few different people, but this was the room where we gathered. We had the balcony. This was our main sanctuary. Our altar was right there in that corner.
And believe it or not, there used to be orange carpet in here.
It did. I
don't know what it is with churches and orange carpet back in the day, but there was like an anointing on it or something.
It's the 70s, man. It's the color of your beard. Yeah. Yeah, orange carpet. I was here for the change out into the green carpet because the 90s rolled around. Yeah. I wasn't, right here where this altar was once, I remember Perry Stone. You guys probably don't know. I know some of the older folks might, but he would come and do camp meetings, which originated from tent revivals. So where they would do revivals outside and under a tent. But he came in here and he called all the kids up one night, and I'm at the altar, and he called the kids up with the parents. And I asked Mom, I'm like, do you remember what he said? And she's like, no. And I remember I wasn't the kid that was like called into ministry. I wasn't that kid that everybody looked at and was like, you're going to be a leader one day, you know. I was just a kid, and I did me. And I wasn't on the worship team. Like, that didn't come around literally until my late 20s. And, but it was right there where he prayed over me, and you want to know what the prayer was? It wasn't like, you're going to be in ministry one day. You're called according to the Lord. It was, she's going to have a really hard life, and she's going to need her parents to pray over her. It was, wow.
That's really encouraging. You know? If you've ever been to a service where people are getting prayed for and prophesied over, and it's like, you're going to be an evangelist, you're going to be a missionary to Africa, you're going to have a tough life. You're going to be a pastor. It's like, hold on, back up. What'd you say?
Thank you. So, therefore, it led me to being a bag of tricks. So, I'm like, literally, you asked, and I've probably done it. 16 years old, I danced hip hop, and then, like 26 years old, I was the lead singer of a rock band. So, bag of tricks here.
She'll never forgive me for saying this, but there's actually a video on YouTube of her rock band. If you want to search later.
I'll fire all of you. You're fired. I'm firing him right now. Yeah.
Actually, we have it right here.
No.
That'd be great.
It was so terrible. My voice has changed so much since then. But yeah, we were here up until I was about 14, and there were some things that were happening in the church, and we left, and we kind of bounced around. I'm looking back at Mom back there for reassurance. But we kind of bounced around to a couple different churches. And let me just stop right here and say that you guys are blessed to have Pastor Nick as your youth pastor. I had a point in my teenage years where I didn't really have somebody solid to hold on to and reach out to. And you guys are really blessed to have that, because not everybody has that. And so, I went through a point where I didn't have that. And up until like I was about 16 or 17, and we were at a different church, and we had a very small youth group, and we weren't really, there wasn't much, there wasn't activities, there wasn't, hey, let's get all the youth together in a room and do a whole service, you know. It was like skateboarding in the parking lot, because she tried to be a skater girl.
Hey, we did that here too.
Yeah.
There was just a lot. Tracy knows. There's a lot more people, a lot more accidents, a lot more trips to the hospital.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it knocked some sense into some of us. So you left here, bounced around from from different churches. So you say that most people in this room, you were their age. You didn't have a youth group to connect with. You didn't have youth pastors or youth leaders that you could call if you had a bad day or if you just needed to talk. So I guess you could say you were like kind of like on an island saying, all right, figure this Jesus thing out.
Yeah. To be honest, I did the best that I could. I think having been here at a younger age, being in this room specifically, following my parents around for worship practice, that's what really instilled worship in me, was being here for that. And if anything sustained me, it was my worship to the Lord, you know. I had some hiccups. I definitely, as a teenager, was curious about things, and there are things that my mom doesn't know about, learned about later, let me clarify, about some, you know, experimentation as a teenager, and it wasn't always that great. You know, what is it? There's a quote about the company you keep.
Bad company corrupts good character.
Yeah.
That's actually,
guilty by association, even. Because, like, I would try to be that kid. Like, I'd try to be that girl that was, like, hanging out with people. And I'm like, I know God. Like, God is awesome. But I'm going to go to this party. And but the influence around me would still impress on me. Like, it didn't matter. I thought that I could hold it, but when everyone else around you is doing things, it's easy to be susceptible to things, and so I did fall short a lot. It took a lot. Maybe I'm stubborn. I don't know. Maybe I'm stubborn. I'm very independent, and it took a lot of hard lessons for me to get to where I am. And to be honest, like, it was like fast forward like 10 to 15 years before I was really like, okay, God, it's me and you. And this is where it's at, So, yeah.
I don't have my phone on me. If you can pull up Psalms 1, I just want to make sure I don't get this wrong. We were actually, every Monday night we have a cohort, and that's just a fancy word for a meeting. We get together, all the communicators of Anchorage Church, and we go over the scripture for the week. We talk about it, and Pastor Bill, he learned us something this week.
Learned?
Yeah, he taught us something this week about Psalms 1 that he learned. And if you could just read those first couple verses.
Yeah. Blessed is the man who, do you want to do New King James? Is that cool?
Sure, yeah.
Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful.
So he said, if that verse, it said walk, stand, and sit, right?
Yeah.
So he said that's how sin works in our life. And I'm talking about, it was a light bulb moment. I'm like, that is so good.
For real.
That at first, we'll go to the party. We'll walk by, we'll go to the party. Next thing you know, we'll stay at the party. We'll sit down with people, and we'll hang out with people. And we'll stand there. And then next thing you know, we're sitting in the middle of it.
Yeah. And
we're like, how did we get here? And it's because we first compromised by just thinking we were okay by just walking.
Yeah.
So you would say that in your life, when I'm not going to say it wasn't because of youth ministry, because I know people that were in youth the same time I was.
Yeah.
They went to youth for 5-6 years, and then they just went down this road and just made some terrible choices.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've all made our choices, bad or good, but they haven't recovered. So I'm not going to say that, well, if you go to youth ministry, you're never going to sin. No, but you do have people. You do have leaders and pastors and people around you to talk to.
Yeah.
So not having that, you just, like you said, you kind of experimented with some things. You did some things that maybe you were ashamed of. Or I think a lot of us look at life and we're like, if I could go back, I'd probably not do that again.
Yeah. Lots of that.
So when you graduated high school, you ended up getting married, and you lived in Hawaii.
Really fast, yeah.
So, yeah, you got married fast, yeah.
Bag of tricks, Hawaii. I've had my feet in the Atlantic and the Pacific. I lived in Hawaii and Orlando. That reminds me, one of the quotes that segues in really good, deliberate, I wrote down a few different things. Deliberate disobedience does not deliver the destination you desire.
I'll say that again. Some people are writing that down.
Deliberate disobedience does not deliver the destination you desire. Yeah, I got married at 20 to a Marine, and this is part of my testimony that I'm honestly a little nervous to talk about because his father goes to church here. He was a Marine, and he was stationed in Hawaii, and moved out there. And the whole time, like, God is there with me. Like, even in my deliberate disobedience. And I say that quote came. This is where the shame comes in. I was at the basement. Have you talked about the basement to them before?
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a ministry that was going on in Birmingham at the time.
Yeah. The basement. It was a huge deal whenever I was in my late teens, and we would go down Birmingham, and it was wonderful gathering of teenagers just on fire for God. And he's stationed in Hawaii. We're talking long distance. We went to high school together, and we start getting serious talking about marriage and stuff. And I'm at the basement one night, and y'all, I literally heard the Lord. I heard God say, "Do not marry him." I heard God say that, Nick. And I did it anyway, y'all. That's where the guilt and shame comes in for me. But he's a graceful God. Because he's still welcomed me home with open arms. Like now he loves you, and I truly believe that we all are here for a purpose, right? We're all here. There is something specific that the Lord has you here for. And even if you get off that path, like I truly believe that he will still deliver so many routes to get you back to the path that you're supposed to be on. And he did that to me over and over. Like, even though he was like, don't marry him, and I did anyway, even in that, he was like, oh, but here I am. Oh, but here I am. Here I am. And I kept like saying, no, I'm good, I'm having fun. Because I knew what I would have to give up. Yeah. I knew what I'd have to give up if I did that. Because he told me not to marry him, and I did it anyway. Y'all, what do? I give him up. That's a divorce. That's a big D, y'all, the scarlet letter. I'm a divorced worship leader here. I know, right? Isn't that crazy? Right? Yeah, the scarlet letter, that's me. So, but I remember I was like, that moment, you have that moment where like you came to the Lord. Like I always knew the Lord, but I didn't know the Lord. Does that make sense? Like I knew him, but I didn't have that relationship with him. And I remember he would always just give me little nuggets here and there just to let me know that he still loved me. And we were married, got divorced, got back together on and off for 8 years, just this yo-yo back and forth thing. And he had been unfaithful in the marriage, and then I thought I'd make it right by being unfaithful back. Because that fixes everything. No. The word says, right? No, it don't work. And I remember crying in bed one night, and I was just like, okay. I came to that point where I was like, fine. Okay, God, what do you want? And, sorry, I'm a singer. Get that out. And,
you had a Jonah moment. You're sitting in the belly of a well, and you're like, okay, fine.
I did. I was Jonah. And he said, beauty for ashes. That's what I got on my wrist right here. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it brought me back to the basement years. There was this team of guys, they were called Shane and Shane, that were like rocking whenever I was that age, that we would listen to. And they had a song called Beauty for Ashes. And that's from Isaiah, right? He'll give you beauty for ashes and the oil of joy for mourning. And again, that Perry Stone prayer. Yeah. She's going to have a hard life. And I was laying there and I was like, God. And he said, I'll give you beauty for ashes. And I heard him, like for the first time. It had been so quiet. From the moment that I deliberately disobeyed him, I didn't hear him. Until I finally turned and I went, okay, God, what do you want? What do you want from me? And he says, I'll give you beauty for ashes. Because I felt like I was like just in a pile of like everything had blown up. unfaithfulness everywhere, drugs, alcohol, like all the decisions, bad decisions. And then I finally said, okay. And he said, and I felt like I was literally in a pile of rubble. And he said, I'll give you beauty for ashes. And I was like, man. Yes, sir.
That reminds me of when Peter denied Jesus. Mm-hmm. So I immediately think of a parent that tells a kid, hey, don't touch the stove. It's hot. It'll burn you. Mm-hmm. Let's just be honest. You probably touched the stove as a kid. One day you're going to have kids. They're going to touch the stove. Ezra's like, he's tall enough now he can reach up there. And I've told Lauren, I'm like, we got to start cooking on that back eye because he's going to set his hand on fire. So, but what happens as a parent when the kid touches the stove? It's not, I can't believe you did that. It's,
oh my God.
Hey, let's go get some ointment on there. Let's tape it up, because I knew it was going to happen. You didn't listen. So when I think of the story of Peter, Jesus tells Peter, you're going to deny me.
Yeah.
He knew it.
Yeah.
He knew everything that was going to happen. And then he came back to Peter. And he says, I've called you to feed my sheep. Now, what I hear is that the Lord told you at a young age, hey, you're going to have a hard life.
Yeah.
And then you had a moment where you realized, and God was right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what if God tells us these things to remind us that you can still come to me? I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
In all the mess, all the bad things you've been through, you may be in here tonight and you say, I'm not even 18 and I've made some bad decisions.
Yeah.
I've made some decisions that I'm like, oh, I wish I could take that back. It didn't take God by surprise.
Yeah.
You may have had someone tell you, hey, this is going to happen. Hey, if you don't stop this is the road you're going down. This is what's going to happen. And you may be sitting there tonight and you're like, I just feel like a complete failure. Or what does Jesus have for me? It didn't take him by surprise.
Yeah.
And he loves you enough to say, hey, you missed it. But go feed my sheep anyway. Yeah. So you have this moment. Yeah. And, we'll just speed the story up. Your divorce is final. There's a lot of that's a different story for another day.
Whole can of worms. We can talk later. Go to coffee with me sometime if you want.
Well, let's fast forward that you meet Wes, or you knew Wes, and y'all got married, and then and you think you're probably at a moment in your life you're like, all the hard parts are over. Like I'm done. God's going to use me now. I'm going to be a worship leader. Yeah. But then you get married and you have two beautiful daughters.
Yeah. And
then so tell us what happened in that experience and having your kids.
Oh my gosh. So with both girls, I got very sick. This is all the kids were going to have. I wanted a house full, like you and Lauren. Like I wanted a house full. And I started having kids when we were 30. So it was like I felt limited. And came into ministry at like 29. And then like had a kid at 30. We got married in 2017. And then had Tegan. And then we got pregnant again with Selah. And I was 33. Let's see, I was 33, right, when I had Selah. And I came into ministry at 33, a leader, like ministry leader at 33 as well, which I thought was really significant because that was Jesus too. Like he was 33 when he came into ministry. And so fast forward to the obedience side of things. With both girls, I got very sick. With Tegan, I thought I was going to die when we were in surgery. I had to have C-sections with both of them. And then with Selah, we just went in for the C-section, and I could have died after having her. But when I got pregnant with her, this is probably my favorite part of my testimony. Like I have like my worst part of my testimony, but I have my favorite part. And I got pregnant with Selah. We're excited. I found out my sister was pregnant at the same time, so we get to have babies together. And I was probably about 4 or 5 weeks, and I ended up in the ER. And they were like, everything's fine. Just go back to your doctor on Monday. And so I went to my doctor on Monday, and they were like, yeah, everything's fine. Well, when I got home from that doctor's appointment, I started hurting really bad. And I hope I'm not oversharing this part of it, but I started bleeding. And I called the doctor, and they were like, come back in as soon as you can in the morning. And I came in, and they were like, you don't have a baby. You've miscarried. And they said, do you want to go ahead and do a D&C, which is where they go in and clean your baby out. And I was like, you know what? I'm 5 weeks. And I trust God and how he made this body. And I believe that with as little as she was, that my body would do its thing. Because the Lord made this body, right? Like, God made our bodies. He made our bodies to do what it's supposed to do. Like, that's why we can, like, I don't know, do crazy things and get healed really fast, right? Like, get really sick and get healed really fast. It's because God created this body. And so I'm like, you know what, that's okay. And they said, well, we're going to go ahead and schedule you an appointment 4 weeks out. Just to check, because sometimes there can be some residual and you could get really sick. And I was like, okay. So I go in, and I go home, and I call my husband, and I'm like, this is so weird, and I'm so sorry for your loss, you know, like, and he's like, I'm sorry for yours, and we like mourned, you know, of course, because we just found out we lost a baby. And I remember we had like our UPS guy, because I got Amazon deliveries all the time. And I was sitting out on my front porch. That's where I go and pray and read. And I'm like and I'm crying, and he's delivering a package. I'm like, I'm so sorry, guys. This is just what's happening. And he's like, are you okay? I said, I just found out I lost my baby. I started with I had a hard time telling him. Those are not easy words to say. And so I was like, I'm just really stressed out. It's fine. I'm really stressed out. And I said, okay, I lost my baby. And he's like, what? And he told me about this tea. He was like, when I get really stressed out, I drink this tea, yogi tea. It's like a hot tea. I love it. And he's like, you should get it. I said, okay. The next day I opened my door, and he's got a box. He didn't have a delivery that day, and he put a box on my porch, and that's so sweet.
I just have to ask, did he wear a cowboy hat?
It was cowboy.
Babe, we know cowboy. He delivered it.
It was cowboy, yeah. Yeah, he delivered me. He delivered his trusty. I know. And so, but yeah, I went back. You know, we mourned. We went through all that. I remember sitting on the couch, though, because before we even found out, I was like, God, what do you want me to name her? And he was like, Selah. And I was like, okay, cool. But then we found out we lost her, right? So it's like, and we don't even know if it's a boy or girl yet either. So it's like, Selah? Well, what if it's a boy? That sounds like more of a girl name. And he's like, he didn't say anything. Sometimes he does that. Like, you ask what, he just don't answer. And so I was like, okay, Lord. Well, you know, find out we lose her. And I'm like, God, okay. If this is, like, we took like 2 or 3 days and mourned, but I was like, if this is what you want, if this is your plan for me, if this is my life, if this is what's supposed to happen, then let it be. Like, it's going to be hard, but you know what? I can use this as my testimony in the future. Like, if somebody loses a child, I can be there for them for that, in whatever way that would look. And so we go back 4 weeks later, and they always do we're just going to do an ultrasound just in case. And they took me back there, and they were like, hang on a second. You know, the lady's like doing this on my stomach, and I'm like, okay. And it's like, Sally, come here. Can you get a look at this? And then they call a doctor in. So there's 3 people, and I'm like, y'all, what's going on there? We get a heartbeat. There's a heartbeat. I was like, that's my God. Like, I immediately knew. Like, I just immediately was like, that's God. Like, that's all God. I was told that my baby is dead, and And then it's like, nope, it's just because, and that's where the obedience comes in. Because I said, you know what, God, if this is what you want for me, so be it. Like, it's going to be hard. So be it. You're going to be here with me. So be it, you know? And so it was really tough. But when we got that news, the nurse practitioner, she brought me into the room afterwards, and she's like, we got a baby. And the whole time afterwards, they're like, oh, so you've been pregnant 3 times? And I'm like, no, this is my 2nd time. Just, we messed up. It was a whole thing, you know, it's a miracle. God, he's great. They literally had a meeting. The whole office had a meeting because their mind was so blown, because they were like, we did not have a heartbeat. Like, you lost a baby. Like, there was physical evidence, you guys, when I went home that day. How can that not be God? So, yeah, that's where another quote I have. It says, operating in obedience opens opportunities to overcome obstacles and achieve his promises, leading to a life of overflow. And so, essentially, like, my whole life and my whole story is pretty much how I came to worship, because I have so much to worship him for, and I'm not worthy. Like, I do not deserve, but his grace says, yes, you do. Like, his grace says, you are good enough. His grace says, this is what I created you for, so go do the dang thing. And so it was, when I got the call to be the worship leader from Pastor Bill, y'all, I was just face first in my Bible. Like, just loving God, you know? Like, I just love God. That's it. I just love God. I love who he is. I love how he is to me. He's my safe space. I don't need a night-night. I don't need a passy. You know, I got my God. And so it's really about your relationship with him, like, more than anything. If you have desires, he knows your desires. Like, he knows your heart, right? And then as we begin to get closer to him, our heart will change. And interestingly enough, because we're close to him, our heart will start to look more like him, and our desires will be more like his. And it's like, I don't know, it's like a circle. Like, you keep loving him, he keeps loving you. You keep loving him, he keeps loving you. You keep loving him, he keeps loving you. And that's where my last quote, your placement in the kingdom is more about your obedience than your competency.
I'm going to ask you to come back to that and wrap us up here in just a second. So you lived a life of complete disobedience, and you saw your life fall apart. Mm-hmm. But then in a time to where you were literally told that, hey, your baby's is gone. Let's do the process for the miscarriage. Yeah. And you said, no, hold on a minute. Mm-hmm. Now, in another season of life, you probably would have been like, okay, it is what it is. But you were stepping into obedience even when you didn't understand. Yeah. It didn't make sense. Literally crying on your porch, and the UPS guy was like, you good?
Yeah.
So, because here's the truth. Obedience is not easy.
No.
Obedience to God is not easy.
No.
And don't get me wrong, a lot of Christians, a lot of pastors make it sound and look easy. But I think if any pastor were to sit up here and tell you their story, they would tell you that the call, not even just a pastor, anyone in ministry, anyone doing anything for God, even if they run a business and they're doing what God told them to do, they would tell you, it probably started out like this. Well, my first year, we didn't make any money, but I was obedient, and I did what God asked me to do. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've heard stories of someone bought a piece of land because God told them to. Yeah. Well, now there's a church there, and they're reaching thousands of people. Yeah. It's just crazy stories that sometimes being obedient to God it's like, this doesn't make sense in my human mind. Why would I tell the doctors who went to school, who do this for a living, that says, hey, this is the next step of the process, why would I tell them, nah, we'll wait?
Yeah.
Because God is so much bigger and greater.
Yeah.
And we got to remember, he created all of this and all of us.
Yeah.
So that's just, I've heard that story so many times, but I'm over here trying not to cry, But so if you've really talked about disobedience and obedience tonight, and you can share that quote again.
Yeah.
But if you would just take the next 2-3 minutes and just leave the students with something tonight. And then after that, you can pray us out.
Yeah. Do you want me to do that quote? Yeah. 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 Been through a lot. Obedience isn't easy, but it's worth it at the end of the day. And yeah, your placement in the kingdom is more about your obedience than your competency. Like he knows the gifts. He knows the gifts he's given you, so you don't have to prove anything. He just wants your heart. He wants your relationship. He wants, yes, he knows you. But like I said earlier, I knew him, but I didn't know him, right? He's the all-knowing, so he knows you. But you got to know him. And he's good. It's worth it, even through all my hardships. Disobedience, health, pain, trauma. There's a whole, you ask, I've probably been through it. But making that shift to, okay, God, either way, that life was easy of disobedience. No, it was hard, but it was easy. It was easier, because I think life's going to be hard either way. And the Bible does say narrow is the gate, right? when you step into obedience, it's going to be harder, because we got to fight our flesh and what we want. But if there's anything that I could leave you today, it's just be obedient. Just learn to yearn for him. It's worth it. Every second, every minute. When you have that moment of anxiety, you feel like you're going to get depressed, anxious, trauma. I just had a fight with a friend. My boyfriend just broke up with me. But God, go to God for that, And you guys are in a sweet spot right now in the age that you're at. I do feel like it can be a turning point. You can choose to sit with him, or you can choose to leave. And we all have those choices. But if I could tell you not to do what I did, please don't do what I did. Just stay with him and learn to yearn for him. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Just hearing those stories of, you just feel like you're at rock bottom. It's like, now what? It's just incredible seeing that, God doesn't love us just because of our gifts.
Yeah.
And if we've done everything right or if we've done everything wrong, he just loves us.
Right.
In general. So thank you so much again.
Yeah.